What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the JABCast. I am Ben Wayman, joined once again by my two lovely co-hosts, the J and A of the Jab, Jared and Alec. How are you guys doing?
Doing all right. I always love how we think of different ways to introduce each other for these things. Well, it's basically just you for these podcasts now, but whenever we did it on the show, someone would always do the A to my J and B, the B to my J and A, and stuff like that.
Yeah. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm wearing my official Jerry hat today.
Oh,
Had to put it on to show some homage to my favorite co-host.
I lost my A hat.
Yeah, because you definitely had one. No,
Yeah.
This is actually a Jacksonville jumbo shrimp hat. But I mean, I had to make Jared blush a little bit.
Yeah.
And Ben,
Well, happy Halloween,
not
everybody.
really my favorite, Ben.
That's okay. I didn't expect to be.
Ouch.
Ooh.
Yeah, today's our Halloween episode. We were recording on Halloween. So happy Halloween.
Yeah.
You guys be anything?
November 1st is when this was going to come out. So listeners are probably listening November 1st or whatever other day that they felt like listening.
Yeah. But because it's Halloween, we're going to be talking about Halloween Kills. This is the movie we decided to watch last week. It's the most recent entry in the Halloween franchise. It's the 12th movie. I'll let you guys start first. Alec, why don't you start us off? And first, tell us how many of these have you seen? Out of the 12.
I've seen I saw Halloween and then Halloween Kills. I've never really been big into horror, but that the timeline map that you sent us was incredibly confusing.
Yeah.
I was trying to follow them and I'm like, this makes zero sense.
I think there's
like 4 different timelines and one movie
4.
you said was like not even related to the whole.
Yeah, Season of the Witch is like its own thing. The original Halloween movie exists in Season of the Witch because there's a scene where there's a TV playing and you see Halloween on the TV.
Yes.
So like they're literally not even in the same universe. So yeah, it's bizarre. But so you said you saw the original Halloween or Halloween 2018?
No, the one right before this.
Okay, so Halloween 2018 and then this one. All right.
Yeah, those two were. I mean, this one I think wasn't really that good compared to the Halloween 2018.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this one sets up the next one perfectly.
Right. Yeah.
I think this one was purely just the whole like lob for the second one to like slam down, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think this one was really made for fans to be like, oh my God, this was amazing. I think it was more of like, all right, we're going to tee this up. And then 2022 Halloween ends, hit it out of the park. That's kind of what I got watching this one.
Yeah. A means to an ends or a Halloween ends, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Ben, what about you?
I really didn't like this movie, like not even a little bit.
Wow.
It felt like it was. I haven't seen too many Halloween movies either, but I think I've seen the ones that I've needed to leading up to this.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels like another step backwards. Like they're just never gonna. Well, are we allowed to spoil this? Maybe not because it just came out. But
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, actually, don't.
Yeah. It just feels like steps backwards. Like the plot of this series never progresses. And I mean, I guess I shouldn't expect much from like a slasher series, but it's a genuinely poor movie like on its own. But I think in the grand scheme of the series, it doesn't offer anything really.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of slashers either. I have seen every Halloween movie. I would say these are the Halloween movies are actually more nuanced for slashers because he doesn't kill that many people compared to some other stuff. But this one, the body count is just insane, and I think that's why they called it Halloween Kills. I think they really just wanted to dip into the insane type slasher. But yeah, it wasn't anything special. There are some really bad ones in this franchise, like really, really bad. So this still ends up being in the better half of the franchise for me just because of that. And yeah, I agree with Alec, though. I think this is kind of a sophomore slump in the new franchise, if you can call it that, before we get into the next one, Halloween Ends, which comes out same time next year, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. I think it's
Yeah.
good. I mean, they all seem to release about the same time anyway.
Yeah, I
It'll
mean,
it'll be ready for Halloween next year.
yeah, it'd be crazy to release Halloween in, I don't know,
December.
August or something. Yeah. Yeah,
Halloween
after
ends coming
2 months,
it's
2 months
2022.
after Halloween. It's like Christmas time. Halloween Ends. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I agree. Nothing really special. Wasn't a huge fan, but
I saw that the budget for this was only $20 million, and it definitely feels like a $20 million movie.
yeah, yeah. It was yeah, nothing special. I went with Colin to see it when it came out, and this is like one of his favorite franchises ever. Colin, he's one of our friends from your college, big movie guy, really big slasher guy. So I really trust his word on these types of movies, and he had the same responses we did, basically just eh. But yeah, that makes me. I want to bring up slashers in general. So we've got. I mean, there's so many other franchises. Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's like the big ones. Am I forgetting any?
Mm.
As far as franchises go, I think those are the big ones.
That's about it.
Yeah. I'm not big in them at all. I don't know if you guys are. If you've seen some.
I don't really. I've seen a few, but I don't really like slashers. My favorite kind of like horror films are. I don't even think are really horror anymore. They've kind of took on their own genre, and I love like suspenseful thriller films.
Right. Yeah.
Those ones are good. Like and one movie that I think really toes the line would be the Saw films.
Yeah, I was gonna bring
Like
those up.
the killing is very brutal, but it's also very, very suspenseful and very much a thriller. Like there's not really any jump scares. There's not a lot of like mass killings like Michael Myers did in this movie.
Right.
But I'm not. Those films I think are kind of hit or miss too with some of the ones that they've done. I think these massive franchises tend to kind of roller coaster up and down.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because they always get rebooted and everything.
Oh yeah.
Like I just said, Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th, they both got reboots sometime in like the mid to late 2000s, and I think they only got one, and people didn't really like them, so they didn't go on.
Yeah.
But Ben, what about you?
I'm a pretty big slasher fan. There are a lot of slashers that I like. Most of the older ones I feel like aren't as good now just because of like technology. Like they just don't look as realistic. But I think like they used to tell like really good stories. I think the first few like Friday the 13th movies were really good. Definitely like movies that you should watch. But I think as time has gone on and studios have realized that people just like to see like gore, they've just started like rebooting these to just have like, an excuse to just kill people on screen.
Right.
But there are some really good like nuanced slashers that might not be like franchises. Like Candyman, I think was a.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Both Candyman, the one from the 90s and the current one were really good nuanced slashers.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Slashers can be like good films, but I think because of like what studios like Blumhouse have done to like the Halloween franchise, it kind of gives it the impression that it's just like a money grab.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts.
That makes me think of, because my mom is a huge Friday the 13th fan. She grew up watching those, and just from I've seen snippets from those movies, and I've seen all the Halloweens, but I don't really see a big difference between Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers when you really get down to like how they operate in the movies.
Right.
They're like these silent killers. They just walk around. They're big, like brutish characters, and they have these blades that they use to slash people, hence the name. Could you shed any light on that? Is there a nuance to Jason Voorhees that I don't know from not having seen some?
I don't know. I think like this, like the general story, right? Like the
kinda
first
run
movie.
us through it.
So in the first movie, like everyone thought that he was like the one like murdering people, but it was actually his mother, who like I think she like ran the camp that like the movie took place at, and then it eventually became Jason. I think it's just one of those things that it was that typical like, oh, he was like bullied as a child or something, so now he's like back just like getting revenge for on like teens who are having fun. Did you mention Scream, by the way, in your?
No, I didn't. That's another one I forgot.
But yeah, Friday the 13th, that was like the first three movies were kind of about that. It's like Jason like getting revenge on like people who came to the summer camp and like desecrated it. But then it just became like they sent him to space in one movie and he got like a cyborg, like
What?
yeah, I'm not joking. That really happened. Like it got a reboot. I think it got two movies like early 2010s, but I don't think they did very well. So I don't know what they're gonna do now.
I'm really interested in. I haven't seen anything from the Nightmare on Elm Street ones, but I think out of if we're gonna call Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street like the big three, that's probably the one I'm most interested in as far as the slasher himself. Just because he just seems like a more developed villain than the other two. Again, I haven't.
The concept of Freddy Krueger is more interesting too.
Yeah. Getting into people's dreams and all that, and I think he looks the coolest, but that's pretty subjective.
I'm just finishing sentences for you.
Yeah, I mean we're that connected. We just know. That's part of the JABCast synergy.
Yeah, that and pointing out every transition.
Yeah. Speaking of transitions,
I'm gonna get a mug that says transitions on it.
Yeah. And we just hold it up to the camera. Yeah, so our ticket or miss it segment, that's what we're transitioning into now. We just dive right into that. I saw two this week. They're new releases. One came out in limited theaters on the 22nd to a full release this week. The other one was just got a full release this week. French Dispatch was the one that started off with the limited release. This is Wes Anderson's latest movie. Let me rattle off some people from the cast for you quick. It's called The French Dispatch. It's got Timothy Chalamet, Saoirse Ronan, Frances McDormand, Tilda Swinton, Benicio del Toro, Adrian Brody, Lea Seydoux, Jeffrey Wright, Mathieu Amalric, Bill Murray, Owen Wilson, Henry Winkler, Tony Revolori. It's so many people. It's split up into three parts. It's essentially a kind of an anthology, but it's tied together. They all exist in like the same world. The French Dispatch is a charter of a magazine. Bill Murray is the owner, and it's not a spoiler, he's dying. And he wants the newspaper to die with him. And they just go through a little overview. There's three main sections in the newspaper: politics, food, and art. And each one of those is one of the anthology sections of the movie. It's really great. It's cool because I know going in how big the cast is. And each person kind of serves their own purpose within these stories. Like they'll only appear in one; they're not going to appear in another. So it was really fun just trying to guess where people would show up, having not seen many of the trailers. But yeah, this movie's so much fun. If you know Wes Anderson, you know what you're in for. Lots of color, lots of symmetry with the cinematography and the shot composition and everything. I can't say it's half and half, but it's mostly black and white, but there are some scenes that are in color. There are a few theories as to why these certain things are in color. I'm not going to talk about that yet because I think people should see the movie and try and figure it out themselves. But yeah, it's so much fun. It's shot in 4:3. There are these really cool parts, really cool shots where he but he wants to show something as if it's a still image, but he has actors and actresses just like frozen in place, pretending as if it's a still image, taken out of an action shot or whatever. But you can see them like standing still. So it kind of gives you that like theater presentation vibe as if you're seeing something live. There are layers to things too. You got in those shots as well, people in the foreground, and then in the background, you've got items hanging from the ceiling that do the same thing, and it looks flat, but you can see them moving slightly because they're not actually frozen. That gives it some depth. It's just really creative. The acting's fantastic. Everybody kills it. The dialogue is really good, really witty. It's not my favorite out of Wes's movies. It's one of the, I think this is his 10th. It's probably top 5. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. If you like Wes Anderson, I think this is probably his most Wes Anderson movie yet, if that makes any sense. Like I said, if you know Wes Anderson, you know what that'll mean. And he's still keeping it fresh. There's I don't know how long I say it is. Maybe 5 minutes. There's a 5-minute 2D cartoon action sequence in it. So he's just a really playful director. He loves playing with the camera. Yeah, I had a lot of fun watching this. Ben, did you end up checking this out or no?
No, I couldn't find where to watch it.
Yeah, it's a shame about these. It's weird to call it an indie film because he's like the most mainstream indie director ever, if you could even call him that at this point. But yeah, a lot of theaters around here don't even play it. A lot of the big, and I guess that has to do with population. York just must not big enough. I had to go down to Towson to watch it. So I don't know. But another one here is Last Night in Soho. This is Edgar Wright's most recent movie. It's starring Anya Taylor-Joy, Matt Smith, and Thomasin McKenzie. It's about this girl who's going to London to study fashion at a fashion college, I guess. And she romanticizes the 60s. It takes place in present times, but she romanticizes the 60s. She's obsessed with it, tries to design her clothes after it and everything. And she gets a room in this old, it's not like an apartment. It's just like a big house. And this old woman's renting out a room for her. So she's sleeping in there, and she ends up having these very lucid dreams of this girl that used to live in the 60s. That the 60s girl is Anya Taylor-Joy. The girl in present time is Thomasin McKenzie. So she's dreaming, and she's seeing these memories. She thinks they're memories of this real woman from the 60s. And it starts bleeding into her real life in present time. It starts consuming her mind, consuming her life. She's having trouble figuring out what's real and what's a dream. Are these dreams or are these real memories? It's a lot of fun. It's very similar with what I was saying with the French Dispatch. Edgar Wright really has fun playing with the camera, and even more so sound. This isn't really a spoiler, and if you're going to see the movie, this will be cool to know going in. Before there's like 20 minutes before she goes into the first dream sequence in the 60s. And in that 20 minutes, they don't use surround sound for the whole movie. And then when she dives into this dream, there is surround sound. There's color everywhere. It's London. It's in the 60s. It's like this big bustling city. And they add the surround sound when you jump into that. So it feels like it adds a whole new dimension to the world, and it just makes it feel more lived in and everything. And it really just hits you. It feels great. And it's weird because you didn't notice it until they start using surround sound, and you're like, whoa. And then it's there for the rest of the movie. But yeah, Thomasin McKenzie and Anya Taylor-Joy, really, really, they did a really good job in this movie. Edgar Wright, fantastic. He played a lot with the camera, color. It's also you could probably figure it out. It's like a thriller, jumps into horror a little bit. It was really fun. I liked it. He's a good director. If you've seen Baby Driver, he likes to synchronize the sounds in the movie with the music. Like in Baby Driver, there's parts where they're like loading guns, shooting them, reloading, and everything, and it goes to the beat of the song that he's playing. It's source music. It's just really fun. Really, really creative guy. Good weekend at the movies for me. Very happy.
Good. I don't think you've had to miss it yet. Everything you've seen, people should be going to see in theaters.
It's a good time for movies right now. This is what's called awards season. People studios try to release their best movies as close to the Oscars as possible so that it's fresh in your mind. Top of mind awareness. bring some your college knowledge for you.
There you go.
But yeah, that's what they do. You'll notice a lot of for the most part, there are obviously exceptions, but higher quality, good productions are usually released like September to December.
Nice.
Q4.
Well,
yep.
What are we watching this week? What can our listeners and viewers expect to see us talk about next week?
Yeah, so coming on Wednesday on Netflix, we have The Harder They Fall. This is a Western, and the cast is a huge collection of some of Hollywood's best Black actors and actresses. Let me rattle off some people here. Jonathan Majors, Zazie Beetz, Idris Elba, Damon Wayans Jr., Regina King, Lakeith Stanfield. A lot of really talented people. I'll read you the IMDb synopsis. When an outlaw discovers his enemy is being released from prison, he reunites his gang to seek revenge. There you go. A nice classic revenge Western. Heard the soundtrack's really good for this too. I haven't listened because I like to hear it for the first time in the movie, but saw a lot of good, talented people on there as well. I know Jay-Z is part of it. Looking forward to that. So yeah, we'll check it out. We'll talk about that next week. And I guess we'll talk about Westerns. That'll be our discussion for the genre of the week.
I love Westerns.
Yes.
Genre.
Yeah. Very excited. All right. And now we have TV. And I don't know if a lot of people know about this, but Alec and I have been bugging Ben since 2019.
Yeah, since it came out.
To watch Ted Lasso.
Yep.
And he finally said that if we were going to do it to talk about on the show, he would watch it.
Yep.
So here we are, and he's watched season 1. We're going to do season 2 next week, but I'm going to let Ben kick it off here. Season 1 of Ted Lasso. Ben, what did you think?
I think Ben should explain why he didn't want to watch it in the first place, and then go into it.
Yeah, fair enough. So when this show came out, I was really getting into to soccer. I call it football, but for the sake of this, I'll call it soccer. And I thought that this was going to be like another American like production, just making fun of soccer and like having a jab at like the Brits overseas. And I knew I was wrong after hearing you guys talk about it, but I stuck by that because of my pride. But yeah, and then after that kind of like subsided, I like realized that I was wrong. I just never really got around to watching it. But I couldn't like let you guys know that I like was thinking about liking it, so I had to keep that up. But yeah,
that's fair.
The truth is that I just like never got around to it. But I finally did get around to it. I agreed to watch it. I've been watching a lot of series lately, so I figured just tack on another one. Yeah, this is actually pretty good.
Yes.
I'm not gonna say that I loved it, because I think I mean, it was obviously the first season, so they were like smoothing out, trying to get down the formula, if you will. But Jason Sudeikis is obviously the titular character. He also wrote a lot of it, and I think that's pretty obvious. A lot of the jokes they set up are very much Jason Sudeikis.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Zach Braff directed one of these episodes.
Yeah,
I think it's my least favorite episode.
He got an Emmy for that episode, actually, or Emmy nomination.
But yeah, enough of the technical stuff. I think from a story standpoint, I think it's good. It is pretty emotional. He's going through, well, I guess his marriage has failed. Ted Lasso, that is. So he's trying to like, he took this job as a means of like getting away from that, I guess. He said it was like to put space between him and his wife. And I think that's compelling. And we kind of like fall back on that a few times where he'll like break down when he like, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, obviously a show about soccer is going to have like soccer content. I think the team is really funny. I can't name any of the actors, but the chemistry they have together is really great. The scenes in the locker room are really funny, especially earlier on when they like all hate him, and like there's kind of like a divide in the locker room.
Yeah.
Roy Kent is really funny.
Yeah, he's also one of the writers, Brett Goldstein.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't supposed to have a part in it at all.
No.
Like they just wrote it and then they're like, wait, he's perfect for Roy. Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the actual like soccer like action parts I think are not great, but I mean these people are not professional athletes. They're actors. Yeah, I think the ending was good. I don't know. I don't want to spoil it. Should we talk about it?
It came out
season-
it came out in 2020.
Yeah, I think season one
was
you can
released
talk
in
about.
2020, so we can talk about that.
Well, he tried to quit, obviously, and they were like, no, we're gonna get promoted to I don't know what league are they in. They're not in the championship. I should know this, but they're not in the championships. Like
They're in the Premier League.
Okay, so now they're in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in season 1 they're in the Premier League.
Okay.
And they get relegated by Man City.
Oh yeah, they were terrible. And then he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna quit." Okay, sorry, I finished it like 5 days ago, so I've been kind of.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I tried not to say anything about it to you guys because I didn't want to like give any opinions before I talked about it here. But yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty good. I think Ted Lasso is annoying, but I think that's kind of the point. Jason Sudeikis did a really good job at making him like unbearable. I saw a video where he said, I'm not sure if he was in character or not, but he was saying like he had to think of like mental associations to like remember every team. So someone would say like, oh, Liverpool like used to be really good, but they haven't won a trophy in a while. And he was like, oh, Dallas Cowboys. I'm not sure if that was that would be really funny. Like,
That's really funny.
But yeah, I think this might just be like my disconnect. I found it kind of hard to like sympathize with like a lot of the characters. I don't know. Rebecca was okay. I think Ted's wife, I wasn't really, or ex-wife or whatever, I wasn't really a fan of. I found her to be like a little annoying. Alex just grimaced.
Yeah, she doesn't really show up a lot.
Yeah.
She just
can't even remember what she looks like.
But like,
I don't know
what episode did she show up in? She showed up in like one episode.
Yeah, she was in like 1 or 2 episodes, and that was it.
And like it just like ground to a halt. Like the whole show just like shifted its focus to her. But yeah, I think it was good. It actually made me pretty excited for season 2. It was only 10 episodes. For some reason, I thought that it was longer. So it kind of just ended, and it was like time to start watching season 2 of Ted Lasso, and I was like, quite ready for it. Yeah, not one of my personal like favorites, but I do think it was better than I was prepared to give it credit for. And I did actually enjoy it. So
good.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that.
We have better news. Season 2, 12 episodes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
And then going back to how you said like the soccer action itself wasn't all that good. The actor who played Jamie Tart said in Jared, remember when I did that like watch that Q&A session with all of them?
Yeah.
The actor who plays Jamie Tart, Phil Dunster, he said he's never played soccer before this TV show. And Nick Mohammed, who plays Nate, he doesn't know a single thing about soccer. He doesn't know anything about it, and he played the kit man, obviously. But like they don't have a whole heap of soccer fanatics. They want, and I think that's because Jason Sudeikis and Brett Goldstein wanted actors to tell the story. They weren't too focused on the actual soccer part.
Yeah, I mean, Jason Sudeikis is like a huge soccer fan, I've learned.
Yeah.
So obviously he was able to like keep things in check and not let them get like too like corny. But yeah, I mean, I heard that they're trying to get like licensing. Like eventually they're going to get like they're going to be able to use the name of like every team and like every division and stuff like that for like the upcoming seasons. So
oh wow.
Yeah, I think how many Premier League teams did they use in this one?
I mean, I know that they did Everton and Man City.
I know the Man City you saw on the field.
About Everton.
Everton, they went to Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
West Ham, I think they talked about.
I think so.
But yeah, they didn't talk about Crystal Palace. That was another one. because I remember Ted Lasso saying, "Palace made out of crystals seems mighty fragile."
Yeah,
I thought that was funny.
that's actually ironic.
Yeah,
Because there actually was a real Crystal Palace that the team was like named after, and it actually did shatter. So
yeah.
Wow.
The idea from the for the whole show stems from when the Premier League was getting played on NBC, because Jason Sudeikis was Ted Lasso in a whole bunch of like commercials for the Premier League on NBC, where he would be like, "I'm the new coach of the Tottenham Hotspurs over here." And it was just a bunch of commercials in like 2014 where he was the new coach for all these different Premier League clubs. And now they turned it into a show.
I'm pretty honored because I'm a Spurs fan, and I think he's a Spurs fan. Jason Sudeikis is a Spurs fan in real life too. But I remember a commercial where he was in character as Ted Lasso, and he was on the phone with the then Spurs manager Jose Mourinho, and they were talking. And obviously he was in character, so he like knew nothing about soccer, and he was like, "Oh, should I be calling it like football or whatever?" And Jose Mourinho, who is like the most winningest manager of all time, was like getting like upset. It was really, really funny.
Yeah.
But that's like before I knew what Ted Lasso was.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's so cool that this character that tried to Americanize the Premier League now has his own TV show pretty much. I think that's a cool like transition.
Yeah.
But like Jared had said, we will be watching Ted Lasso season 2 and discussing that for you all on our next podcast next week. I'm really looking forward to hearing what Ben says, because me and Jared have already seen season 2. Yep. I will be rewatching it, so it's a little more fresh in my mind.
Ooh.
I don't know if you will, Jared, or not.
We'll see. Probably not.
Yeah, if you have time.
Yeah.
Throw it on to go.
So busy these days.
Yeah, I know. But I think season 2 is a step up. I don't know if you feel the same way.
I have to think about it more.
Yeah.
I'll talk I'm not sure if I'll rewatch it, but I'm definitely just gonna reflect on it more.
Yeah.
Like throughout the week, just thinking about season 1 versus season 2.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that being said, Ben, hit the records.
I was ready to start playing music.
Spin the vinyl.
We're gonna be talking about music, as we always do every week. Yeah, album discussions. We all gave out some albums last week, and I'm curious to hear what you guys thought of the one that I threw out there. So we're just gonna go in order as we are on the outline. I'm just saying that like our listeners can see it, but Jared's first. So Jared, you gave us Blessings and Miracles by Santana. Alec and I will talk about that, but tell us about the 2 albums that we gave you.
Yeah, so Alec gave us Honky Tonk Heroes by Waylon Jennings. And when he gave it to us, he said this was something he's not sure like that we would usually listen to. But this is the exact type of country that I like. I'm not Alec, who did you saw Jason Aldean?
Yeah, I was at the Jason Aldean concert.
Yeah. And that's what's I think a lot of people call stadium country.
He has, and for him, it depends on his album. He has albums that are more like this one. Well, not more like this one, but they're like closer. If you put them all on a line, he has albums that are closer to that. He has some albums that are like trying to appeal to non-country fans to pull them in and listen to country. Like Dirt Road Anthem is one of his most popular ones. He raps kind of on the song, and I think that was kind of his way of trying to pull in other people that don't normally listen to country and pull them in to listen to not only his music but all of country music to try to bring it up. But yeah, he has a bunch of like stadium or amphitheater country songs. But yeah, this is definitely not stadium country.
Yeah. So I'm not a fan of stadium country, but I am a fan. I don't know what you'd consider this. I just call it country.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is right up my alley. This is exactly the type of country I like. So I was really excited when you gave this to me, and I really enjoyed it. Looking at the track list right now, Honky Tonk Heroes, the namesake of the album. It's a really good song. And then my other favorite was Black Rose, right at the end.
Mm.
Really good. Yeah, like this is just exactly what I like. I threw it on. I was doing a bunch of errands yesterday, so I was driving all around town where I live, which is a lot of cornfields and stuff like that. So I'm playing this, windows down, winds blowing in my ears, and this is blaring in my ears, and I really felt like a honky tonk hero. So yeah, it's really great. I love this type of stuff. I'm gonna keep throwing this on here and there.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
like that you hear it. But like could you hear that all of this album influenced so many different
Oh yeah.
country artists now? Like you can hear it. It's so
yeah.
weird. It's
Well,
so
yeah. Waylon Jennings is like the guy,
yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Johnny Cash.
Yeah. And then next up was Ben's. He gave us Sympathy for Life by Is it Parquet or Parquet? I forget. Parquet Chords. Yeah. And it was funny. You also said this is something we might not usually listen to, but the entire time I'm listening to this, a lot of it reminded me of the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh yeah.
Which is one of my favorite bands. And I really like this as well. Really great album, beginning to end. I don't really think there's a single skip on this album. Homo Sapien especially is probably my favorite from there. The title or the first track, Walking at a Downtown, it doesn't give me the Downtown Pace. That's really good too. Black Widow Spider, and Sympathy for Life, all really, really good. I had a lot of fun listening to this. Nice little, it's another Apple Music alternative genre. So I don't really know if there's a more specific or accurate genre to categorize it as, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this album too.
All right, Alec, what'd you come up with?
I'll just start with the Symphony for Life as well. I really wasn't a massive fan of this, and I don't know why. As I was listening to it, I found myself like trying to thinking I was listening to Franz Ferdinand for some reason. I don't know why.
It's also a good comparison.
Like that's kind of what I was like hearing. I was expecting that kind of songs, those kind of songs to come out, and it wasn't. It definitely isn't something I would normally listen to. The instrumental is incredible. The music throughout the whole thing is amazing, but I just feel like the voice of the lead singer didn't necessarily fit the music, if that makes sense for me.
Fair.
And then Jared, obviously, as previously stated, has given us Blessings and Miracles by Santana. Incredible. I thought this was like perfect classic Santana.
Yeah.
This is him. I loved all the features, especially Chris Stapleton.
Yeah, that song
That
stuck in my
Joy
head,
is awesome.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, like, and the way you said you were listening to Honky Tonk Heroes, you could do the same thing with the Santana album.
Mhm.
Like, it's a great album. But Ben, what did you think of Santana?
Didn't like it all that much, if I'm being honest.
Oh,
I like Santana, and I've always liked his guitar playing. But I just don't really like his music, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
He has a few like good songs that obviously like the ones that everyone knows from his earlier career, but wasn't really a huge fan of this. I think it was okay. He tried to like cross over genres, which I think didn't really come off too well. I did like the Chris Stapleton songs called Joy.
Yeah.
I'm not a Chris Stapleton fan at all, but I thought it was actually pretty good. That's probably my favorite song of the whole album. I hated the song with G-Eazy.
I knew you would hate that. I didn't really like it either, honestly.
One of my least favorite songs of all time.
Okay, you say that so much.
You have a lot of least favorite songs of all time.
I on Peace Power, Corey Glover's on it, and I misread it, and I thought it said Danny Glover.
You would have heard that. You would have heard that instantly.
But yeah, I just wasn't a big fan of it. It felt really long. It wasn't even an hour, but it felt really long.
I think it was an hour.
So, but
really close.
7 minutes. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah, just not really a fan of it. I liked some moments where Santana played the guitar, but I think the songs in general were just not very interesting to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then well, go ahead, Jared.
No, I was just gonna say I haven't listened to a lot of Santana in a while, so I feel like this is just maybe my gut reaction was just that I'm listening to Santana and I'm liking it.
Yeah.
So I should go like check out his older stuff and compare.
All right, and then the Waylon Jennings album, Honky Tonk Heroes. I just wanted to say I was scrolling down his albums on Apple Music, and he has an album from 1992 called "Too Dumb for New York City, Too Ugly for LA."
Wow, that's me.
All of us. But yeah, sorry, Alec. I didn't really like this one either. And this is my fault. It's not that I can't appreciate the work that went into this album. I just really don't like country music like at all. It's like I'm trying to think of like a metaphor. It's like when you burn your hand on the stove, like as a kid, and you're like, oh, I know that like the stove can like bring me good things, but all you can think about every time you see a stove is like
all the pain
hand on it. Yeah. Like I know that there's like good country music, but I just can't listen to country music without thinking of burning my hand on the stove.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean it's okay. I guess like musically, if I'm putting like my bias aside, it's pretty old, so the recording is not like great. But I mean, putting that aside, like it's a decent body of music. It's really short. It's not even a half hour.
Yeah, it's a short album.
So it wasn't like painful to get through or anything like that. I'm just not a country fan. I think he actually has a really unique voice. I did like the way he sings, and the songs had good structure to them. I just don't like the country instrumentation or whatever.
Yeah, I'm and like I said, I knew you weren't gonna like it, which is why I kind of picked this one instead of like a Johnny Cash album, because those are forever. Those go on a long time.
What's good about this segment is that we'll give each other stuff that like we wouldn't normally listen to. So like even if we don't like it, it at least like helps so we can like make a more logical argument, so we can't just be like, oh, I just hate country music. Based on nothing.
And like I said last show, this album was purely just because this is where the majority of today's music for country stems from. Like so many artists built themselves off albums, this album and albums like it. And that was the whole reasoning behind putting it in here. It was kind of like when we did the discussion of like the best song ever, and you guys took a more like personal and opinionative view, and I took a more like analytical, like this song was at #1 for the most time type of deal. Like that's the kind of thing, that's kind of the way we all look at things so differently, which is kind of cool.
Well, I found that this is like a personal anecdote, but like for a while, starting like last winter, I just like could not get into like any music. So I was like listening to like almost nothing. Like I had like no like new music in my library. But I think I found that when I study music like analytically, when I try to think about like, oh, like here's like what it inspired, here's how successful it was or whatever, I found that I like didn't enjoy it as much. So I think taking a step back for me and just being like, oh, I really like the way this sounds, really helped me like get back into music, if you will. Yeah, that's super.
Jared, what album are you dishing out this week? And then me and Ben will give our first impressions based on this beautiful album cover.
Yeah, so I chose, well, let me tell you, I chose this because the original two that you guys put in the outline first, both the artists were in all caps. So I decided I would do one in all caps too, just to keep it the same. And then Ben just changed it.
You'll see. This is a reason.
But yeah, I'm gonna stick with mine because I still wanted to listen to this anyway. But it's called Optimist by Phineas. This is Billie Eilish's older brother / producer. And I think he is a great producer. I don't think he has as good of a voice as Billie, but I think he has a better mind for music, if that makes sense. I've listened to one of his other albums before and it's really good. So looking forward to this. It came out, I guess, earlier this month, like the 15th or something. Haven't gotten around to it yet, but I'm assigning it to you guys and to myself at the same time. So
yeah, I really kind of like the cover art. I think it looks
I forgot what it even looks like.
very like kind of spacious almost. Like
Oh, yeah.
these dolls are just hanging out in space, and I feel like this is gonna kind of be a little like alternative, trippy style music.
Yeah, like atmospheric maybe.
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah, I think the album is very interesting. It's like metallic, like dancers, I guess.
Yeah, they look like little metal dolls.
Right. I actually am quite familiar with Phineas's work.
Yeah.
Even from this album, I've actually heard the '90s, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really like it, but I do like his voice a lot, and I did like his like previous work, so I'm excited to jump into this.
Yeah. I'm giving All We Know of Heaven, All We Need of Hell by Paris. I like Paris. I've been a fan since Emma introduced me to them 2-3 years ago. They're great. We went, saw them live. That was an incredible concert, amazing performers, very good stage presence. And I like at least 75% of all 3 albums that they have out now. Relatively small band, but let me know what you guys think of this very kind of, it feels very similar but different for the album cover to me. You know what I mean?
Like familiar, but also
Yeah.
unique. Yeah. It's I assume there are only 3 people in the band.
At the time of this album, yes. Now there's
Okay.
only 2. Not today. There's only 2 people.
Gotcha.
The one guy is no longer in the band.
I thought you were about to say the one guy got killed. That's how you were about to.
He got kicked out of the band.
Oh wow.
Yeah, for like personal issues. I'll leave it at that.
Drama. Yeah. Yeah. So it's 3 people standing on a bridge or something, staring at their reflections in the water, and then it's got like a big white outline. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of covers like this, so I know exactly what you mean when you're saying familiar. The genre is alternative. Are you gonna shed light on that, or should we keep it a secret? Because I know we're doing like the first impressions thing. So do we want that to be part of it, or?
Well, like I mean, it is an alternative album. Like,
okay, just like alternative rock.
This band is very alternative, and I don't know if I thinking about it now, like I think the transition from their first album to their newest album to their single that they just released is an incredibly long journey and from one spot to another on the alternative spectrum, which I think you guys would be interested in. But I don't want to also give you guys Paris for 6 weeks straight. So
yeah, that's fair.
This one's kind of like right in their middle. This is their sophomore album. So they went pretty far in one direction before this, and then they went a different direction after this, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right.
Okay.
Ben?
This looks like it's either going to sound like Bring Me the Horizon or like Modest Mouse, and like no in between. So I don't know. I'm excited to listen to it though. I've heard of this band before. My sister's actually a big fan of them, so excited to give them a listen.
Sweet. Then what album are you dishing out?
Yeah, I was gonna give you guys JPEG Mafia's newest album, but I figured that was really niche, and there was an album that I just hate so much that I want you guys to listen to it. The Lockdown Sessions by Elton John, and I often sensationalize things, but this genuinely might be one of the worst albums I've ever heard. I just want to get your thoughts on it. I listened to it because my friend sent me a song, and he's like, "This is really good. Like, what do you think?" And it was a song with Elton John, Young Thug, and Nicki Minaj, and it sounds like someone went into their studios and like took like 30 seconds of an Elton John song, 30 seconds of a Young Thug song, and like 30 seconds of Nicki Minaj, and just like spliced them together.
Yikes.
Like they were totally independent of each other. And it's really bad. And I have no problem with Elton John. Like I've always
I love Elton John.
Singer and songwriter. But this is really bad. Like this is quite bad. It's obviously like it speaks for itself. Obviously, the Lockdown Sessions, the the album art is really not going to show you too much, but he likes to talk about like social things going on, obviously. But this is like overbearingly bad. Like there's I don't know. You just have to see for yourself. I can't really describe it. But yeah, give me your thoughts on the album art. Doesn't really say too much.
Well, I'm looking at the Apple has the new animated album art, so I'm looking at that. The mask he's wearing that says his name on it is gleaming with stars, and they're sparkling and everything. And then there's a reflection in his glasses that keeps shining past, and you can tell it says Gucci on them.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but I'm just focusing on that now.
I'm looking
like,
at
is that can you get in trouble for that, or is that a product placement?
He's Elton John. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess.
pretty much.
Also, there's a little Nas song on here that's not available to listen to on Apple Music.
Yeah, I was wondering that myself. I have no idea what.
I think that's because it's on Lil Nas's album.
Is it?
It might be because I know they did a song together on Montero.
Let me look real quick.
Yeah, I'll look. Alec, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of think this album is exactly what what it looks like. It looks like he put together, basically hung out with all these different people and did a song during lockdown and produced a whole album through it. I love Elton John. I love a lot of his songs. So I'm hoping this isn't as bad as Ben makes it sound.
There's a lot of interesting people on here, though.
Although, yeah, I know it's kind of all over the place, like different genres, like Young Thug to Stevie Wonder to Stevie Nicks, Glenn Campbell, Yo-Yo Ma is on here. So,
Gorillaz?
Yeah.
Charlie Puth. Where's NBA Youngboy, though?
He actually did all of the instrumental in.
Oh, wow.
I'm lying. I don't. That's definitely not.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is so is this what you'd call a playlist? You remember when Drake came out with More Life and he was like, this isn't an album, it's a playlist. Is this what you'd call a playlist?
I guess so. That makes sense.
That always annoyed me just because like it's still an album.
Yeah.
Like I used, my friend used to be that guy that was like, hey, did you hear the new song? He's like, well, actually it's a single. I'm like, it's still a song.
Exactly.
Like, it's a freestyle. I'm like, it's still a song.
Yeah. I hate when people do.
Yeah.
That was huge like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It's you hear that new, I don't know who's big. You hear that new Fetty Wap playlist?
Yeah.
Or mixtape?
Yeah. So annoying. Everything like album is that's like the umbrella term, and song is the umbrella term.
Yep. But
let's just get that out of the way now, okay? If you're listening,
if you
get it right,
single, you suck.
Yeah. All right. So enough of this. Enough. We're sick of it.
Yeah.
All right. Our random thought. Were you?
No, I was gonna make a really lame joke.
Do it.
Let's hear it.
That's what we're about here.
Good joke. It's just a comparison. It's like when you say like, oh, it's a song, and someone corrects you, it's like, oh, it's actually a single. It's the same kind of rage I get when someone asks you for the time, and you're like, oh, it's noon, and someone's like, actually, it's like 11:52.
Yeah.
Like, all right,
but it's basically noon. Yeah.
You're right, Ben. That was a really lame comparison.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You made me sick.
No, I appreciate that, Ben. I appreciated that comparison because I feel the same rage. Or when people say quarter of or half past or 20 till, I'm like, stop.
It rattles your cage.
Yeah, I'm like, I know how to do math, and I'm impressed that you can too. But how about you just tell me what the numbers are?
Yeah.
Don't give me the equation.
More work for both of us by telling.
Yeah.
You. Then you have to whatever.
Yeah. Enough on that.
Our job here is to talk, and by you cutting me off and telling me that you me talk,
and he's sick of it.
The purpose of. I've had enough.
Oh my god!
Tell us about Humpty Dumpty, Alec.
Yeah. So
today. This could go so many different ways.
Yeah. Well, this started because Humpty Dumpty is never clarified that he's an egg. Yet he's always depicted as an egg.
What?
Nowhere in the nursery rhyme does it say Humpty Dumpty's an egg. Nowhere.
You're
It does not specify ever that Humpty Dumpty's an egg. He's just depicted as one, and I cannot figure out why.
Yeah, I
It
think
had me spiraling. I have found the origins of Humpty Dumpty, and it's like the original poem and then how it's changed. And I'll read you the earliest known version of it. Is
wait.
what?
Okay. I'm reading this headline says truth or myth, was Humpty Dumpty an egg? He was never real. They're like acting like it's like
No.
historical
So
thing.
the earliest known version goes Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. 80 men and 80 more could not make Humpty Dumpty where he was before. That's the original version. Well, maybe not the original, but it's the earliest known. And it's thought that this original version was a riddle, not meant to be like a nursery rhyme. And then William Carey Ritchie changed it a little bit, and it became Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. 80 men and 80 more cannot place Humpty Dumpty as he was before.
that does not flow well at all. Whoever wrote that needs to be fired.
No. Then it changed again in 1842. And it goes, Humpty Dumpty lay in a beck with all his sinews around his neck. 40 doctors and 40 rights couldn't put Humpty Dumpty to rights. That one was a mouthful and weird. And then
that's even worse.
And then from there, somewhere it changed into what we know today as Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Somewhere between 1842 and now, we have what we know as Humpty Dumpty. And he never brought forth as an egg. They never state he's an egg. So I don't quite know. And in the 1842 version, I looked up what sinew is, and it's a tendon. Like it's tendons and fibers that are like connected to your muscle.
Ew.
So I don't know
why you
why
spell that.
SINEWS.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a tendon, and it's tough, high, strength band of dense tissue, and it connects muscle to bone. That's what that is. So I don't quite understand.
Yeah, even if you think about it, an egg is one of the hardest things to put together after it's been broken, put back together again.
Yeah.
Like that would, I don't know about you guys, but I would quit after like 10 seconds. That would piss me off so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What's he doing sitting on a wall anyway?
So my theory, after my brief research, is that, so Alec, I'm assuming you're looking at the Wikipedia page as well.
Yes, I am.
The first version of it was published in like a kid's like book. So obviously in the 1700s, these people like practice like bloodletting like for fun. So I don't think they were too worried about like traumatizing children. So I think this was like about a person. And from what I can gather, back in that time, Humpty Dumpty was pretty widespread slang for a person with a mental disability. But I think that it was like poking fun at someone, a disadvantaged person falling off of a wall to the point where they like were close to death. But I think as time went on and people became more sensitive to things and they didn't want their kids to be like exposed to things like that, they changed it to be an egg just over time. And that kind of became the accepted kind of interpretation.
That makes sense.
A little bit farther down, it's saying that Humpty Dumpty is supposed to be cartoonish hidden depiction of King Richard III of England. But that theory came about in 1930. When did King Richard III rule? Like 1400s.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, well, coincidentally, I mean, he had a hunchback.
Yeah.
So that would also fit under the umbrella of disability.
Yep.
He was in the Alice Through the Looking Glass book. Not the movie.
He was also in Shrek.
Yeah, he was in Puss in Boots. He was the villain.
It's true. I'm gonna count that as Shrek.
Yeah, the Shrek verse.
It's not even a nursery rhyme. Usually, like nursery rhymes, like teach you a lesson.
Yeah.
What is it teaching you?
Yeah, everything that I'm reading through here is that Humpty Dumpty is a riddle.
It's just like can't be like a.
What's the answer to the riddle? Like I can't normally something like this would tell you, but it's like it originated as a riddle and then moved into a nursery rhyme.
Maybe the riddle is that he's an egg. Maybe by like not saying that he was an egg, people were like, oh, like what can fall off of a wall and break and not be repaired or something like that.
I don't know. This has had me thinking about. This is what I've been thinking about all week. And it's
Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out why.
Hey man, I just can't get Humpty Dumpty off my mind.
Work and you're standing there like staring at the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
What's Alec doing? He's just thinking about Humpty Dumpty again.
Yeah, pretty much.
Everything all right with you? I just can't stop thinking about Humpty Dumpty.
You ever heard of that Humpty Dumpty guy? What's his deal?
every possible comment.
Google Humpty Dumpty and just look at all the cursed images of him.
Oh my god. I don't want to do this, but I'm
going. It's bad. Egbert Humpty Dumpty.
There's a Batman. Beware the Batman. Humpty Dumpty. He just looks like Wilson Fisk.
Oh yeah.
Very large man.
Gosh.
This is terrifying.
First images.
Yeah. The one that he's got like hair, like baby hair.
I found one where they put Donald Trump's face on Humpty Dumpty.
There are some photorealistic ones too that are very.
Yeah.
These are like some of the CGI ones too are creepy.
Yeah, I hate this. Yep.
I'm gonna hit that X right there.
This one's all right.
I think that's all the time we have for this show.
Yeah. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Yeah, I hope everybody had an amazing Halloween. Hope all the kids are crushing. Yo, don't put that in here.
Put that as Ben's picture for the YouTube.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I might have to.
If you're listening to this and you're trick-or-treating, please send us pictures of your costume on Twitter.
Yeah.
One and
went trick-or-treating. Hopefully you had a great night. Send us. We'll repost any pictures that you will have sent us from last night while you were out trick-or-treating and everything.
Discriminate.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all very much for listening. We will be back next week with Ted Lasso season 2 and The Harder They Fall, along with all the albums that we switched around. So tune in next week. We will talk to you all then. Have a good one, everybody.